Summary of That Evening Sun by William Faulkner. There have been a lot of changes in Jefferson, Mississippi, where Quentin Compson grew up. His memories of his city are nostalgic. With paved streets, telephone lines, and a city laundry, the town has become more modern. Now, even the Negro women have cars, which they use to do laundry for the white families in town. It's 15 years ago, and Quentin is still a kid. He and his brothers enjoy watching their black servant, Nancy, take a bundle of laundry from their house to her cabin in Negro Hollow on her head. The husbands of some servant women come and pick up their wives' clothes, but Jesus, Nancy's husband, never does. Regular helper to the Compson family, Diley, is sick, so Nancy has been working for her. In his story, Quentin talks about a time when Nancy, who has also turned to prostitution, was arrested for loudly demanding money from Mr. Stovall, a respected white bank worker and church member. Nancy is told to be quiet, so Mr. Stovall kicks her and knocks out her teeth. They put her in jail and make her sing and protest all day. At night, she tries to hang herself with her dress from the window bars. She is found by the jailer, who says her stomach is like a little balloon, which makes him think she is pregnant. As time goes on, Quentin, his sister Caddy, and his younger brother Jason also notice that Nancy's stomach is big while she is cooking for them. He tells the kids that Nancy has a watermelon under her dress while he is in the kitchen with them. "It hasn't come off of Jesus' vine," Nancy says. To the kids' confusion, Jesus says he can easily cut down the vine where it did come from. Even though Mr. Compson tells Jesus to stay away from the house after what happened, Nancy keeps cooking for them. Everyone in town thinks Jesus has left, but Nancy is scared to walk home by herself because she thinks Jesus is back and looking for her. Even though Mrs. Compson doesn't like it, Mr. Compson agrees to walk Nancy home and take the kids with him. As they walk Nancy down a dark alley, she tells Mr. Compson that she believes Jesus is waiting outside her house with a knife and is going to kill her. For a while, the Compsons will walk Nancy home every night until Mrs. Compson gets angry. One night, they let Nancy sleep over in their kitchen. But she wakes everyone up by making a noise that sounds like singing but isn't. Even though Mr. Compson doesn't see anyone outside, he still lets Nancy sleep in the kids' room. Quentin can't get rid of the picture of her scared eyes. Even though Diley gets better, Nancy still talks about Jesus in the kitchen every night. Diley tells Nancy that she can stay with her, but Nancy says that no nigger can stop Jesus. She begs the Compson kids to ask their parents if she can stay in their room again. When Nancy says no, Mrs. Compson tells her to go home and lock her door. "You will have fun," Nancy tells the kids, so they agree to walk home with her. But when they get to Nancy's house, the kids don't like the smell and are scared that their parents don't know where they are. Nancy tries to calm the kids down by telling them stories and making popcorn when Jason starts to cry. They finally hear footsteps outside the cabin, which turn out to be Mr. Compson coming to get the kids and take them home. They leave Nancy in her hut with the door open, making the sound that sounds like singing but isn't singing. She waits for Jesus to come for her. As Quentin drives home, he thinks, who will do the laundry now? When Caddy makes fun of her brother for being afraid of the dark, Mr. Compson yells at her and takes Jason on his shoulders.
About the author. William Faulkner was born in 1897 in New Albany, Mississippi. Faulkner's mother and grandma, who were both interested in art and writing, had a big impact on him as a child. He was also very close with Caroline Calibar, the family's black helper. His friendship with Callie made him interested in racial issues in the American South, which shows up in a lot of his work. When Faulkner was 17, he went to the University of Mississippi and met Philip Stone, who became his mentor. Stone tried to get some of Faulkner's songs published, but at first, his efforts failed. The Marble Fawn, Faulkner's first book of poems, came out in 1924. Soldier's Pay, Faulkner's first book, came out in 1925. In 1927, he wrote Flags in the Dust, which took place in the made-up county of Yoknapatawpha. To Faulkner's disappointment, publishers turned down Flags in the Dust at first, but it was finally released in 1929. After Flags in the Dust was turned down, Faulkner felt hopeless about his writing future. He started working on The Sound and the Fury, an experimental novel set in Yoknapatawpha County. It came out in 1929 and became one of Faulkner's most famous works. In the early 1930s, his books As I Lay Dying and Sanctuary came out. He died in 1962.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.